Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of What's Happening Now with CNOW Solutions. As always, remember to like, share, and comment on this broadcast live. There could be some information here not only useful to yourself, but useful to a family member, friends, or relative. Tonight's broadcast is being brought to you by Will Technology. Will Technology, they provide advanced technology program management and innovation solutions to various federal government agencies, including the United States Military Forces, Department of Defense, and NASA as well. Some of the things that we got coming up, don't forget, we do have our community baby shower. This is going to be on the 26th of May. We are so much looking forward to that. Also, we have coming up we're starting our next summertime semester for our entrepreneur class. That's going to be on the 21st of May. If you hadn't had a chance to sign up for that, please go to our website and sign up underneath the Launch It class. We will be kicking that off on the 21st of May. We are super excited about that. We're getting a special group coming in that just graduated from Drake. And I'll tell you what, I'm excited. And I know my co-facilitator is excited about it. So we can't wait to get in that. So tonight, we have a very special guest in the audience with us tonight. We have with us Miss Milli Scott. Miss Scott, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So there's so many things I want to talk about tonight, and I know you're going to give us a lot of good information. So talk to us a little bit about what it is that you do and what is Credit One USA.
Well, Credit One USA is America's credit superstore. We are a credit repair, financial education, and literacy agency. So we help you to identify inaccurate or incomplete information on your credit report. We work with you to address those inaccuracies. We also help you with debt management, debt settlement assistance, and score building education if necessary. But overall, we educate you on how credit works and how to make it work for you. So we do a lot of stuff.
I tell you what, Mr. Fry, his credit has been in the dumps for a while now, so you're gonna have to help me get it out. I'm trying to be a star again. I want to be that star. We both kind of work around the rims. With our financial literacy class, we deal with talking to the students about credit, talking to them about finances, goal saving, smart goal savings, and so forth. But from an adult's perspective, can you explain to the viewers how important is your credit, to you?
Well, so everybody says cash is the king. Cash is king, right? My motto is, if cash is king, credit is the kingdom. So how would you like to be a king of nothing? Have credit. So credit impacts everything from where you live, where your kids go to school, where you work at, if you get that promotion, and most importantly, how much money you have and how much of that you keep, which then impacts your time. Because if life costs more, then you have to spend more time working to get what you want. So it impacts your hopes, your dreams, your goals, ambitions, and those of your children too. Relationships.
Wow.
Health.
I was looking at perusing through your Facebook page, and I noticed that you actually have, I think you call it Talking Tuesdays.
Talk to Me Tuesday. Yes.
Talk to Me Tuesdays. And I was looking at the various videos that you have made when they're so full of a wealth of information. How did you come up, thinking about doing Talk to Me Tuesdays? What brought that on?
Bad information, honestly. Honestly, when you get out there and you surf the internet and you search credit repair, which is a common tactic, or fixing something, you get a lot of information and a lot of it is inaccurate or incomplete. And so what we said is, if we're going to do this, the most important thing is that people have the right information. So whether or not you use our service, we want to ensure that you have a reliable, trusted place where you can get information that will help you to make the best financial decisions. And inaccurate and incomplete information, fake hope, it kills. So I don't want you to have that. So we came up with it, and originally it was an hour, and it was really just a question and answer. And then over time, I've pared it down a little bit because an hour is a long time to be on social media just waiting for questions. And so we go over various topics, and they come from our members who ask us questions, random people who ask me questions, people who inbox me, anywhere. Things I see on the internet too. I'll address TikTok things, and all of those common things between TikTok and Instagram, those get good credit in 7 minutes kind of things that don't really work. So we wanted people to have a safe, trusted place with right information.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because sometimes the social medias, the TikToks and the Instagrams and all that, you got people on there who are saying things, and sometimes how do we know what to follow, what's correct, what's not correct? Is there such a thing whereas I can get your credit score from a 550 to a 750 in just 2 months? Is there such a process or a program that can do that? Or is there a thing where it says like, oh, if you got bad credit, it's okay. You're supposed to have bad credit. You don't need to worry about getting your credit score up past the 700. How do you address things like that when you have your clients come to you because they were listening to something from social media and they followed it thinking it was the gospel?
I tell them the truth. Follow the money. It's really, really easy. When you have a question of, can you fix my credit in 2 months? Let's take a look at your credit, because it may be something that is fixable in 2 months. Let's just say, and that's the thing with it. There are success stories for everything. So if I take my best case customer out there, I fix credit in 2 weeks. Now, if I advertise to everybody, get your credit repaired in as little as 2 weeks, everybody's going to want to come, because all they hear is, you can fix my credit in 2 weeks. They don't hear in as little as, which means it could be as long as. They hear what you want to hear. So my thing is to tell them and not to advertise the best case scenario. Yeah, it happens. But the truth is, how do I take your credit from a 550 to a 750? Get your balances down on your credit cards and dispute that late payment that you weren't really late on, and get proof. And if that happens, you can actually have your credit repaired in as little as 45 days. That's not the norm. And so what happens is, I tell people the entire truth. I'll say, hey, this is what could happen. This isn't what usually happens. Usually it's a long process. Usually we're going to have to fight this thing, because there are people and there's a system designed to ensure that you stay in a certain range, because that's how they make money.
Right. There's so many questions out there. I know Brittany's got a whole lot of questions in regards to credit, because that's always been something near and dear to her heart. Absolutely. How do you address, and I know I don't want to take up too much of Brittany's questions, but how do you address when you come across somebody and says, hey, I have bad credit because I found out that my mama put this car in my name when I was 10 and she never paid it off, and now my credit is horrible? How do you address someone like that? Is there a way for them to be able to get that type of credit fixed?
Congratulations. If your mama is the reason your credit is bad and you were 10, baby, you're not responsible for that. All we have to do is file a dispute and do identity theft. Now, the thing is, you think it was your mama. Maybe it was, but maybe it wasn't. We don't know that for certain. Did you watch your mama sign your name and put your social? Okay, well, you didn't watch that, so you can't say it was mom for certain. So what you need to do is say, this doesn't belong to me. I ain't asked you to do no research and find out who it belongs to. Let's stick with what we do know. We do know at the time this was signed, I was actually in the state of Alabama. It doesn't matter if you're under 19. Yes, 18-year-olds, it does not matter, because you're not 19. The age of majority in the state of Alabama is 19. So if you're less than 19 years old, you cannot sign for it legally. So therefore, it's not yours. I can't be held accountable for this. Please remove it from my profile.
Oh, wow. Okay. Outstanding. So would that count for a minor who is 18, 17 that was not originally born in the state of Alabama, say that if they was born in Florida and their parents moved here, can they still,
Were they
go
a
for
minor
that?
when they moved here?
Say again?
Were they a minor when they moved here?
Yes.
They're a kid. I'm not responsible to the age of 19. And the thing is, at 17, I'm not responsible in any state.
Okay.
In most states, it's 18.
Mhm.
Mississippi and Alabama, well, Alabama is 19. Mississippi is 21.
Mhm.
Okay.
And I want to say it's either Alaska or one of those states up there is also 19.
All
So
right.
there's a couple of states that you have to be. So the first thing is find out the state of majority, but more importantly, start with the basics. You didn't do this. It does not belong to me. Can you show me proof where the debt belongs to me? It's called debt validation.
Mhm.
See, we're going to start with just the simple basics. Show me where I did this.
Okay. Got it. We got a question here. It says, what would you say the average credit score is, and how common is it to have a score over 820?
Okay, so the threshold for having good credit, our goal is 750 because that's the threshold where your interest rates are the best. It's 750 plus. How common is it to have an 820 score? I think you're in the top 5, you're in the top 10% with an 820. So it's not very common. Now, the key is what score are you looking at and where did you get it from? Now, if we're talking about a FICO score, then an 820 is that. Now, if we're talking about a bank score from CreditWise or something like that, they have other scoring systems that go as high as 950. And so on that scoring system, an 820 isn't as good.
Mhm.
So make sure we're talking to FICOs because I want to make sure we're talking about the correct score. Now, across the country, there's a couple of different scores. Universally, the average credit score went down a point last year. And so universally, it's a 720, supposedly. However, for African Americans, the average score is a 685.
Mm.
Okay. All right. Got another question. It says, how is it one's credit score can take a hit and go down for paying off a credit card when it is preached to pay off debt?
Oh, that's a really good question. I love that. So, part of your score is determined by your credit profile. So, I want you to think of it like weight loss. It's one of the best things to do, and it works really well, especially with women. You're trying to lose weight. Now, here's the thing. I've been in the gym for a couple of months trying to lose weight, and I've lost weight. Look, my watch is loose. Don't you want to lose weight in a wrist? Like, I got all of this right here, and you thought the wrist was where I wanted to lose it? The same thing is true with your credit. Because your profile is made up of what you do and the items that you are interacting with, when your credit debt doesn't exist in credit cards, which is a large portion of your credit score, what happens is it's like, well, now I don't know what she's doing because the only decisions that she makes are decisions that are based with other people's approval, aka a mortgage, a car loan, student loans. Those are not independent thinking decisions. Somebody else qualifies those decision making. So if you have a particular profile, aka like me, I'm a bigger girl, losing weight in my wrist doesn't really help me. So same thing with your profile. Paying off a credit card may not be the best option. I may say, based on your profile, pay it down to about 1%, which is $1 for every 100 you have available.
Okay. All right. So let me ask you this. I've heard this before, and I've heard several other parents and the more wealthy off do this. Let's use Brittany, for example. Brittany has a whole litter of children. What could she do with her litter of children to get them in a positive credit position as they grow older?
Okay, so first of all, I'm number 8 of 8. So her litter ain't that big around here. I got your back.
Thank you. Somebody got my back.
Now, that being said, teach them. So what I tell people is it's just like a regular job. When you're going to a job, the first thing that they do is they go over the job description with you and the requirements. I want to make sure you understand that. The next thing that they do is training. So normally you'll sit in a classroom or some type of setting and you'll do the training with them. And then you'll have on the job training. So now I've talked to you about it. Now I'm doing it. I'm showing you. And then I watch you do it. And then you go off and do it by yourself. The same thing is true with your credit. So the very first foundation to this, as you know, is budgeting. We like to call it a savings and spending plan because people like saving and they like spending. They don't really like the B word. So the first thing is me and my children sit down on my payday and we go over the budget. And every time we get paid, we go over the budget. Now, the only time I look at my budget and my bills is when I have money. So when we get paid, we go over the budget. Now, come on, 14-year-old, come sit with me. Now, what do I have to pay? Oh, Mom, you got to pay. Ooh, yeah, I probably can't ask for them $300 shoes because you don't, that's not enough left for that. So now we see the budget and we understand the budget. So when we start getting into borrowing money, credit, then we understand from what we come from. And so now they see me use the credit card and pay the credit card and use the credit card and pay the credit card off. And then I add them as an authorized user at 16, 17 to my credit card once they have a job. And I watch them use the credit card and pay the credit card in a safe space. And then they get their own credit card and I watch them use the credit card and pay the credit card. And then they go off on their own with it.
Okay.
Wow. I tell you what, Brittany, look like you got your road cut out for you, because, you got some children that you need to get straight, right? Hey, we got a question here for one of the viewers. It says here, how can clients determine an appropriate duration to engage with the credit repair agency before evaluating if the agency is effectively assisting them, ensuring transparency and avoiding situations where the process may be needlessly prolonged or exploited their situation?
So typically it takes, for a dispute cycle, it takes 45 days. So there are some basic things that happens. Now, I can't say your credit score is going to change in 45 days. You should have notification that a dispute has been filed, that there are results of disputes and things of that nature. Some of the things that are red flags for me is if they say things like they can only dispute X number of items. There's nothing that limits the number of items that you want to that you can dispute. This means that they're only willing to work on a certain number of items at a particular time. That's something that's used to prolong it. The other thing is, if you don't see anything happening, if there's no updates, if there's no notifications, and if there's no communication, you should be able to follow along with what's going on with your process. So typically, especially right now, credit bureaus aren't as responsive as they are supposed to be. In fact, there's a study by the CFPB that says less than 2% of people are getting responses to accurate disputes. So it's a time thing and it takes time, but it's really all about comfortability and communication. So it's not one of those things where you just turn your credit over and, they'll get back to me when it's done. No. They should be actively engaging you. And there are other supplemental things you can do while disputing. Disputing is only one portion of your credit. What are you doing now? Are you actively paying your bills on time? Are they giving you supplemental things that you can do to help improve your credit worthiness while challenging inaccurate or incomplete information? Also, are they doing it in a legitimate and honest way? If they told you to go get a police report and file identity theft on the 4 credit cards you did, that ain't it.
Right. So I have a question. So my question is kind of piggybacking off what you just said when you said it's a 45-day turnaround and they're not. So I was told once before that if I was to write off a dispute, once I mail it off, if I haven't received anything within 30 days, then it's automatically supposed to come off.
Honey, if that was true, do you know I would mess up stuff every 30 days? I wouldn't think about this. There's mail. One, you can't verify that they received the mail.
Mm-hmm.
Two, if I miss this sheet of paper, then I got to remove it off your credit report. Think about that. From a bill collector standpoint, this is one of the things that happens a lot with credit and credit repair. We put our consumer viewpoint into their system and want it to work. If it was your bill, and that if somebody owed you $1,000 and you missed that letter in the mail, would you waive their $1,000?
No.
Okay. This is $1 billion industry. Who would do that?
Mm-hmm.
They're not waiving it because of a 30-day notice. They're not.
Good point. Good point.
That's never true.
Okay.
Good point. Got another question here. It says, so if you sign with a debt relief program and your credit is not getting better, how can you get out of the program? Ugh, that's a good question.
So let me just tell you, debt relief is the devil.
Ooh.
I absolutely hate those programs because what happens is you go in and they're supposed to be settling your debt for you. The way that they settle your debt is you pay them monthly, they put it into a bank account. Instead of paying your bills, you get a 30, 60, 90 charge off. So your credit just goes away. Once the account is charged off, they then come in and say, hey, you know that bill I didn't pay? I'd like to settle it now. I know I owe you $8,000. Can I pay you $4,000? What would you say? Probably yes, right? Well, I'm going to go back and say, hey, we're going to settle this for $4,000. My fee for settling it is an additional $800. So now you're going to pay $4,800 on that bill. Hey, because I settled this and I got you some money, you're going to need to pay me $800, okay?
Right.
So me as the company, I get a monthly fee plus $1,600, and you still got to pay them $4,000. You could have called them yourself. Cancel it. The problem is that's what happens, and your credit's not going to be improved until the debt is settled, because every month you don't get your $4,000. Are you going to tell them, yes, she still owe me? You going to tell them, yeah, she still owe me $8,000 till you get your money, ain't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, she still owe me. And so your credit's not improving, even though you've already started this program.
Right.
You would do better, instead of going through a debt relief company, is to talk to them directly. And it's not consolidation. It's not, even though they call it debt consolidation programs, Freedom Relief, Green, all of those people. I'm not going to call their names on your show. But those particular companies are financial management or debt settlement companies, and they get charged fees for that. But look in your terms and conditions, and there should be some way to cancel. And most of them will let you out of it unless they have already started settling the debt and paying on it, in which case they're going to say some type of, well, you still owe us X amount of dollars. And you're kind of stuck with that bill.
So it was said, I heard, once a long time ago, can't remember when, they said that you could actually call your credit card company and ask them for an interest rate break to try to help you get your bill down. Is that a true statement? Can you actually do that?
Yes, you can. This is the thing. They're people. I know it looks like a big company and all of this stuff, and it's scary and it's all of that. But on the other line of that is an actual person. And you call up and you say, hey, look, Susan, I've lost my job. I need help. Can we move this bill to the back? Can we do an interest rate? They have all kind of programs. Capital One has $0 payments for 3 months program. One Main Financial can do a loan modification. They can move your car payments to the back end of it. They can do all kind of things. And especially with credit cards, there's this thing in there for credit insurance. So if you've had an coverable loss, for example, you've had the insurance for long enough and you lost your job, or you're out on medical leave or something like that, they may pay your bill up to 3 months, and in some cases even pay the debt off. So check with it and talk to them before you're late. It's a lot easier to have a conversation and say, listen, this money is coming due in 2 weeks, and my wife just lost her job, and we got to make some tough choices, and you're on a chopping block. What can you work with me on? But having me call you, my daddy used to say, when I borrow money from you, don't turn me into a bill collector, because then I'm going to have to act like one.
Right. I like that. I think I'm going to have to start using that one. I'm going to start using that.
Please
like
don't.
that.
Listen, just call them in advance and tell them, listen, before the bills due, I ain't going to be able to get you. Listen, you got to call them in advance.
It's not Credit One USA or none of them other
No.
people.
Be clear. Mark James ain't got nothing to do with Credit One.
Listen.
My daddy would be like, now why can't you?
Right.
You wasn't saying that when you owed me the money. I told my daddy one time, I'd rather sleep in the car with my children than ask you to borrow money. So I
get that. So when we're dealing with credit and things that you owe, is how do I want to phrase this? Is it harder for somebody to get out of debt from credit cards versus payday loans, pawn loans, title pawns and stuff?
They're all difficult. It really just depends on your profile. The thing is, it's a system. And all of these systems are designed to suck you dry and steal your money. So the interest rates on a payday loan are significantly higher, and the return time for it is, a lot quicker. However, the process for recovery for payday loans are a little bit better in terms of your credit score than credit cards. The reason I say that is basically for a mature profile. That means people who've been doing this for a while. Installment loans impact about 3% of your score in terms of the amount owed, in addition to the 35% payment history. Okay? So we got 3 plus 35. Credit cards are 27% amounts owed plus 35% payment history. Which one sounds worse to you?
Right. That's something. That's something. All right. So during one of my financial literacy classes and talking with the students and talking to them about finances and secure credit cards versus unsecured credit cards, is it better for someone who's starting out and even though they can get an unsecured, is it better for them to get a secure credit card to try to build their credit, or if they're able to get the unsecured, do the unsecured?
Okay. So I have mixed answers to that. What type of credit card is it? And we always start with that, because when I say secured versus unsecured, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about who's the company. I would take a secured Redstone card over an unsecured First Premier because it's the company. Now, when you think of credit cards, I want you to think of relationships. The two things that I always use to describe credit is weight and relationships, because these are things that everybody can understand. Is it better to get a man who got 5 kids or to get a younger guy? Because you got 5 baby mamas out here, and I can just see this being a problem.
Right.
First Premier Bank got 5 baby mamas out here, and this is going to be a problem because my mouth slick. See how that works? Whereas Redstone, I don't really like them, but they're not going to tell nobody that this is a secure credit card. That's the other thing. That's why I said who matters, because some people don't tell all your business. So if he don't tell you he 27, you don't know my 40-plus-year-old self is walking around with this 27-year-old man. But you know he got 5 baby mamas, because that's kind of hard to hide.
Right.
See?
And also first premier is only a secured credit card company. Like,
no, they do unsecured first
they
premier.
might do it now.
Yes, they
now,
do.
I
But
did it.
it's at 28% interest.
Listen.
They're gonna give you a $300 limit. They're gonna charge you a $250 account setup fee. Plus, it's $12.50 a month annual fee. So when you start with this $300 credit card, you're only gonna have $75 available.
You don't have to tell me that. I've been down that path with them. That's how I kind of stated that, because when I did it, it was literally, I believe, 2019.
Oh yeah, you got there in that trap.
Yeah. And it definitely ran me for a loop. I was like, I thought I was spending my money.
No. You see, we're going to charge you interest on your money. See, it was my money that I let you think that just because you gave it to me, it belonged to you.
It belonged to me, absolutely.
So you got to be in the credit card game to understand that.
And speaking of the credit card game, explain that a little bit for me, if you will, because I know there's a difference from when I think I heard you mention once upon a time, if the credit card is based out of a particular state, you need to stay away from there. Can you explain that to the viewers, what you mean by that?
Sioux Falls, South Dakota. If that mail envelope come from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, you don't want none of it. Now, let me tell you what happened. So, and I can't remember the year. And if Maurice was here, he would fuss at me for not knowing that. But it's been a time, bruh. You come get it straight. Anyway, so what happened is the government was trying to put a cap on how much interest that could be charged. And just like with the age limit for drinking, it's not a federal mandate. The states get together and say this, right? So the way they work with the mandate for drinking at 21 is they withheld money for roads unless your state said to raise the drinking age to 21. So states did that. Well, the same kind of thing happened with the credit cards because it was getting out of control. And at the time, this is before the laws came into place later with the CFPB and all of those regulations. South Dakota said, "Nah, we ain't doing that. Y'all can charge whatever y'all want." So all the people who wanted to be little succubus and take advantage of people moved their headquarters to Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So you'll see First Premier Bank, Total Bank of Missouri, Verb, Indigo, all of those people are headquartered out of South Dakota because that's where they can suck you dry.
Wow. I tell you what, Milli, you have given us a lot of good information. And for the viewers out there, I hope y'all got something out of this as well. And hopefully y'all can take it to someone else and let them get something out of it. Milli, how can someone get in hold of you if they want to set up an appointment?
Hold on, wait a second. Before we let her get that information, take her. I got one more question. Don't try to rush me because you said you're going to give me time. Okay. So how important is it for your credit history when it comes to your credit report? Because I've noticed that between me and my spouse's credit, when I look at it, my credit history is still stemming from, I'm going to say 2008 when I first started my student loans up until now, because I'm still with the student loans throughout. And after he paid off of, I believe it was a Capital One years ago, it literally restarted. So how is it important? Because I've been hearing the hearsays and now I got a credit expert in front of me. I'm ready to hear. So how is it important to have an actual credit age history when it comes to your credit?
Oh, that was a really good question. I love that because most people don't talk about it. It's actually called your length of history.
Okay.
Now, I told you I like relationships because it's so much better, right? Would you rather a guy whose last relationship was 7 years or a dude who dated 7 different women over the last 7 years? Which one would you feel is more stable?
The one that had the one throughout the 7 years.
Why?
Because it shows commitment. It shows that.
Look at that. Look at you answering your credit question.
Okay.
Length of history is about how long you've been in this relationship. That's why it's important to choose the good relationships, not the 5 baby mamas, but the younger boy because he gonna hopefully be around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens is, and this is why also getting those short-term loans, like I know Reds don't want to fight me for this, but the little Christmas loans that we get, the little stretch loans we get for 3, 6, 9, 12 months, and you get it every year, you just restarting and shortening it up. You breaking up with your boo and getting back with them. How good does that sound? Now, y'all ain't been together 13 years. Y'all had 7 breakups in the middle of that. Y'all been together on average about 2.5 years before your next breakup, right?
Right.
So that's what happens with your credit, and it shortens your length of history, which says, for example, I know a guy, I'm not going to call his name. Every Christmas, he got a new boo. So come Thanksgiving, I'd be like, oh, he finna break up with her, because that's the pattern you've established. With your credit, I can trust you for 6 months because your normal length of history is 6 months, or a year, or 2 years, because that's how long you normally do things. So having a longer length of history says you've been doing this for a long time. I'm a grown up in this thing. Quit playing with me. Like, we've been together 10 years deep, boo. You can't get in the middle of this. I'll break your little neck and we're going to stay together. Okay.
Hey, I love your analogies of the way you put things and make it understandable for those that really grasp it from the credit standpoint. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. So how can someone get a hold of you so they can make an appointment to go over their credit?
Okay, so there's a couple of ways you can get me. The best way to get me is to sign up on our website at www.creditoneUSA.com. It's only $1. We'll ask you for a couple forms of ID, and then we'll schedule your initial consultation. You can do it either via Zoom, or you can schedule an appointment to come into the office. And yes, we work with people all around the country. So we help you no matter where you are. Sign up, do it that way. You can also call us at 256-333-0353. Now, that's my direct dial number, and sometimes Millie doesn't answer the phone. So the backup number is 855-273-3663. That's the number on the website, because that gets everybody, not just Millie. And that means somebody will at least be able to get you in the process and get you going, because I work with an amazing team of individuals. Because if y'all let me do this by myself, I'd have gray hair and quit.
Hey, Millie, I tell you what, Miss Scott, we appreciate you coming in this evening and imparting this knowledge with us and the viewers. And guys, as always, remember, she does do, what is it called again? Talk to Me Tuesdays?
Talk to Me Tuesday, live at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time every Tuesday.
Outstanding. I love it. Talk to Me Tuesdays, guys. Make sure you tune into that, and you can catch Miss Scott there imparting some good financial information on credit and savings and all that good stuff. Don't forget, we do have our baby shower coming up on the 26th. We are looking forward to that. We'll have good information out there for that as well. And always remember, your yesterday is not your today, and your today is not your tomorrow. Good night.